This is Mr. Beliveau, and I'm here to talk to you about the MLA Works Cited list. I cannot tell you how important it is that you get this Works Cited list figured out and done correctly. It is what will help make sure that your paper is not plagiarized. This Works Cited list and in-text citations, which I'll talk about later, are looked at not just by English teachers, but by all your teachers whenever you have a research paper that you have to do. They will check to see that you have cited your sources. And for you, it is as I said, protection from plagiarism. All Works Cited pages protect you that way. And I do check for plagiarized papers. So do the other English teachers. Not citing something that someone else wrote, whether it's copying or pasting or whatever, that will result in a big, huge zero for you, which is very hard to come back from. Do not plagiarize. That's just a bad idea. Also, as long as I'm talking about nevers, never use Google as a source. You know you're going to be using Google or some other search engine to find information when you go online. You know that, I know that. That's how it works. But you never, ever, ever use Google or Bing or any search engine on your Works Cited page. That will not fly even a little bit. Think of Google kind of like an airport. Okay? Say you're going to the Bahamas. To get there, you need to go to the airport first. Hop the plane, go to the Bahamas, have your nice vacation. But when you get back, if someone asks you where you went on vacation, you wouldn't say, hey, I went to the airport. I spent my vacation over at, the Atlanta International Airport. The airport is where you went in order to get somewhere else where you really wanted to go. Well, Google is like that. If you search a term, you get a list of web pages to go to. To get the information you need, you have to go to that web page. That web page is your final destination, kind of like the Bahamas was for your vacation. So this is what you need to put on your Works Cited page. How do we format an MLA Works Cited entry? Well, there are different ways to format entries for different types of references that you use. In your text, a writer's reference, you will find them. Look at pages 394 to 423. These list different ways to format many different sources. There's an index on pages 363 and 364 to help you find the right place to look. Use this resource to create your entries. The way to format a book entry is different than the way you format an entry for a database. The way you do an entry for a database is different than how you would do it for a web page. The way you do it for a web page is different from how you would do it for a movie. The way you would do it for a movie is different from how you would do it for a book. Everything has its own format. Check it out and look for it. I'm going to talk to you about web pages because that's the most likely type of resource you're going to use for a class nowadays. So when you're citing one page of a website, which is a web page, you start off with the author's name, if it's given. For this particular example, the young Nate would be the name of the author. Notice it has the last name first, then a comma, then the first name, and it ends with a period. Make sure you do that. The period right there is very important. Don't forget it. After the author's name, you have the name of the web page. The name of the web page in italics, period inside the italics. I'll get to that again. We see 7 ways you can reach your highest potential with a period inside the quotation mark. In the MLA format, the title of the web page should have the first, last, and important words capitalized, whether it looks like that on the web page or not. And again, the period goes inside the quotation marks. After the author and name of the web page is the name of the entire website. This one was found on Lifehack. The title of the website needs to be typed in italics. After that, we have the publisher of the website, unless it is the same as the title of the site. In this case, Lifehack is also the publisher for this page, so we don't have to have that to be written down. Notice how after we had I'm going to back up here, after we had the name of the website, we didn't put a period, we put a comma. So we would have a comma, the name of the publisher of the website with a comma, and again, since this is not written down, we just skip it because it's the same thing. Then you put the update date if it's given, the last date that the page was updated. In this case, the page had one, was 27 January 2014, and again, comma. Then the URL of the page. The URL is the Universal Resource Locator. It's the web address that you would find this at. In this case, it's this big long one right here that I'm not going to read out to you because you can read it. We end that with a period. That's the end of the entry, probably. Now, if there was no update date given, you would end up the entry with the date that you looked at the website, the last date that you looked at it. In this case, pick a nice date, 13 May 2016. You always make citations from websites the same way. You just have to replace the information. There in blue with young Nate is the example we just went through. Author, title, website, update date, URL. If we went to another web page, one written by Robert Stephen Kaplan, we'd have it with his last name first, Kaplan, Robert Stephen, then Researching Your Potential, Harvard Business Review, 15 November 2016, and the URL. It's the same type of information in the same order. The periods are in the same place, the commas are in the same place, both website titles are in italics. Everything is in the same order. It's always going to be this way. You want to be aware of online citation generators like Citation Machine or EasyBib. They look like a great shortcut, but if you don't know how to make a citation, that could get you into trouble. Because sometimes they'll do things like, well, here, when I ran this URL through Citation Machine and it gave me back the information for how to do the entry, it told me to put Lifehack as the publisher there. But as we know from earlier before, when you have a publisher, you don't have to put it down if it's the same as the website title. So that's not the same information. I have seen Citation Machine give wrong information for the author's name or leave it out. Wrong information for the title of the article on the web page or leave it out. gets the wrong website sometimes, gets the wrong update date sometimes. Pretty much always has the URL correctly because that's what you put in to get there. But any of the other information, you can't just accept and take the word of that website for it. You have to go back and check. Online citation generators don't think. They just look for some information and plug it in. If they find the wrong information, they'll plug that in. It's a whole lot easier just to know how to do it and to do it yourself. What is a web page versus a website? Well, a web page is the specific URL at which you are looking. It's like the page of a book. The website is a collection of web pages, but the same organization publishes all of them together. Like a collection of pages make a book. Usually the website name is whatever is before the .com, .org, .edu, .gov, etc., but not always. So for example, we get this URL. If we were to plug it in and look, the web page is called MLA Works Cited, electronic sources. And the website is the Purdue Online Writing Lab. You have to look at the website to get this information. You sometimes have to go to the About to find out, the About page to find out what you need. You have to look it up. You have to put in a little bit of detective work sometimes. Don't skip it. Often a web page won't have an author listed, or won't have an update date. It'll leave these things out. What do you do then? If the information is not given, skip it. For example, if the author is not given, the first thing written would be the article's title. If we take that example we used earlier, we would just leave the author off and it would be 7 ways you can reach your highest potential. This is super important. I cannot tell you how important this is and how often I see people make mistakes here. Only 2 things are going to start an entry. The author, or if the author's name is not given, start with the title of the web page. Nothing else. I've seen too many people try to start with something else. Don't. I don't want you to put the title of the website. I don't want the title, the name of the publisher. These are the 2 things that you put there. The author or the web page. That's it. The Works Cited page has a general format to follow. Double space times New Roman font, 12 point. 1-inch margins all the way around. The heading should be Works Cited, centered at the top of the page. First line of the citation starts at the left-hand margin, and the second and subsequent lines are indented. In the folder for our Works Cited, I have a Works Cited practice template. And if you use that template, your Works Cited page is already formatted correctly for you. One important thing to remember is your sources are going to be written in alphabetical order. But being MLA, there are some weird rules for alphabetical order at times. You're going to start, as we said before, either the author's name or the title, nothing else. Whatever the first letter of the entry is, that's what you use to alphabetize. Do not alphabetize authors and titles separately. Mix them together. You don't have one section for authors and one section for titles. That's a no-no. Doesn't work. If the title starts with a numeral, 1 or 7, something like that, write the numeral, but alphabetize according to the first letter of the word if you wrote it out. For example, 1 is written out as O-N-E. You would alphabetize this with the first letter of O-N-E. 1. Oh, example number 2, 13 is written out as Thirteen. You would alphabetize it with the first letter of 13, T. Is this confusing? Absolutely. I don't know why they do it this way. Just when I looked it up on MLA Stylebook, that's what it said to do. If you're alphabetizing by title and the title starts with a, an, or the, we have another special rule. Write the word a, an, or the where it goes, but alphabetize the article by the first letter of the second word of the title. Example, the best way to reach your potential. You would alphabetize the title with the B, not the T. Again, confusing? Yes. Why do they do it that way? I don't know. I just know they do. This is an example of what a correctly written Works Cited page should look like. Again, we've got Works Cited up here. We've got the first line to the margin, the subsequent lines indented. It goes in alphabetical order. 8 starts with E, so it comes there. 6 starts with S, so it comes down here. You've got all the correct formatting, all the correct periods and commas. Everything's where it ought to be. This is what a correctly written Works Cited page should look like. It's a lot of information. If you have any questions about it, please don't hesitate to contact me via Remind or email, and I will do my best to help you out. Thank you very much. I hope this was helpful.